Hey everyone, it's the Trash Man, ready to talk some garbage and get down to brass tacks here. You know the drill. If you liked the video, please subscribe, hit like, and let me know what you think in the comments. Today I'd like to talk about perseverance through tragedy, how we get through it, how we handle it. When things look bleakest. Several years back, I had a health scare, and the doctor was giving me the prognoses and possibilities, what could happen, what this could do, should we do this, course of action. And I just kind of blanked over. At that point, you just can't even handle that kind of information. I mean, obviously, you don't think of death quite in that way, and especially happening to you. I know that's cliche, but it's true until you get told that you have health problems. Then no, it's not me. Everything's fine. Everything's good. I'm going to live forever, really, because we put that death thing in the back of our mind, but we know it's always creeping up, so we repress it. So yes, I was blank, basically numb. So my white knuckling it on my car and just driving, following the lines and just getting home. I don't even remember it all that much. And really, for the next couple days, the anxiety built up, and I really thought, boy, this is it. I don't think I can. I don't think. Good Lord, how long do I have? Was kind of the idea. What do I got to do? What do I got to clean up before I go? Just irrational because I didn't have any. There's no full verdict yet. And it went on that way for several weeks, and then all of a sudden I put on some Beethoven. I was listening to a piano sonata, and I was struck like how someone can create that level of art, just a beauty that's unparalleled. So I decided to dig into the life of Ludwig van Beethoven, and he's just an interesting character, so heavily talented, but filled with insecurities and fears, and very rough childhood. His father reportedly was abusive, and he never lived up to it, and to the level of Mozart, at least when he was very young, that he wasn't going to amount to that. And but eventually he did. His skill grew at amazing rates, and he eventually became a contracted composer for Vienna, and he kind of took off from there. He wrote Eroica, this beautiful symphony, and in the backdrop, Napoleon's war revolution was going on, and he was steadily, I think he was, even as a young man, I think he was in his 20s, and his hearing was going, and he was well aware of this, and he was well aware what the public would do if they found out. So that he kind of kept it under wraps and continued to compose and play, but eventually he could not play in public, so he decided to just seclude himself, go into seclusion in his loft and compose, and try to do it that way, give lessons. And then eventually he was completely and utterly aware of his situation and mortality when he wrote the Fifth Symphony, Death Knocking on His Door. It's pretty clear that Beethoven says, I know you're here, I know you want me, and you're not going to get me yet. Which is, really a triumph right in itself, where he says this is not going to happen, at least not today. And at this point, he's completely deaf. Relationship problems with everybody in his family. It's legal struggles with his nephew, I believe, and fighting over custody and just alienating, and then the hearing just exacerbating all the problems in his life, obviously, and especially as a composer. But again, he brought it to the table and brought the Fifth Symphony to the world. And ultimately, this culminated in 1824 or 1825. I can't quite remember, but he was he called a concert in Vienna at a Viennese theater, and he, at this point, he was deathly sick, blinding, and completely void of hearing. Still stood up there, went up to the conductor box and conducted the Ninth Symphony, the Ode to Joy, out of time, but still brave enough to walk up there and do it. And arguably the greatest piece of music ever written at a time in his life where he was at his absolute worst. celebrate, but it's a celebration of life and a triumph of humankind. You know, he was willing to give that last gift to the world, basically. And that turned my whole thinking around on what life throws at you and how we cope with it. I mean, that is exactly the way to face it, to not only accept it and know what it is, but to transcend it for as long as we can. We all know it's a losing battle, but it's how you play the game for sure. It's one of those instances. And that basically turned the way I view health-related issues, or, you know, really any tragedy, that you can keep going, and there's so much more that you can do. If Beethoven had stopped at one point when he started losing hearing, think of what the world would have lost. I mean, it's absolutely staggering what he was able to do, even after figuring out he was deaf. It really, the greatest points of his tragedy and heartbreak were the times when he brought us the greatest art, and really transcended it and created a life, you know, that is more complete than most of us. So that's all I'd like to share today. But you know, we'll see you till the next topic. Please, if you like this, please subscribe or hit the like button and leave some comments. Love to hear your input. Till next time, still taking out the trash.